It's a time where the values and the institutions that are at the heart of democracy are being challenged and undermined by our elected officials. And racism is getting a national platform and national power. But it's also a time where there is a grassroots awakening and a political mobilization of Israeli citizens, the likes of which we haven't seen in this country before. Hand in hand, as many of you know, is a network of integrated, bilingual, multicultural schools and communities that works to build a shared and equal society for Arabs and Jews in Israel. We've been pursuing this mission for 25 years, and our work has been necessary all of this time. But today, it's absolutely essential if there's to be a viable future for the two peoples who live in this land. In this next hour, you're going to have a chance to hear from three of my colleagues, leaders at Hand in Hand, who are Dani Elazar, our Executive Director, Shada Mansour, the Director of our Communities Department, Efrat Meyer, the Principal of our Max Rayne Jerusalem High School. They'll share with you thoughts about how we, as an organization, are fostering resilience and solidarity to move through this crisis. Please feel free to share some questions in the chat. We're going to try and address as many of them as we can, both in the chat and by putting them to our speakers. And I'd like to start by asking each of you, my colleagues, to share a few words. How is this moment, this period of time for you as individuals and as leaders who are advancing shared society in Israel? Dani, let's start with you. Mute. Thanks, Dani.
Thanks. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us these days. I believe we're in a critical moment in Israel's history. Personally, I go out every Saturday night to the demonstrations in Tel Aviv. It began with smaller crowds and is growing every week. My father is 82 years old, is out there with us, and my daughter joined as well. 3 generations fighting for the democracy. Friends from the Israeli high-tech industry joined me 3 weeks ago and told me this is their first time ever in a demonstration. The week after, it was their second time. And last week, their third time. We're all smiling when we selfie for Facebook, but we're actually concerned, frustrated, and angry. And also with a great feeling of responsibility to the future of the country. It gives a lot of strength to be together with tens of thousands of people who really care. Israel is facing a big crisis that has different layers to it, which are all connected. Probably the most significant internal crisis for the country in its modern history. To begin with, the judicial revolution that is being legislated. It is a danger to Israel as a liberal democracy. But we also must ask, is Israel a full liberal democracy for all its citizens? Namely, the Arab citizens as well. Can Israel be a democracy and at the same time continue to rule over millions of Palestinians under occupation in the West Bank with no vision for peace and equality, and with a government that part of the ministers within it support annexation of the West Bank? And this is also following this terrible week in which Jewish settlers rioted in the Palestinian village Hawara, following the terror attack there, getting for the first time support from top ministers in the government. I struggle with these questions, also while demonstrating, which brings me back to the thought that Israel's democracy is in danger in more than one aspect these days. This crisis has awakened the Jewish Israeli liberal society. The Arab society in Israel is debating its part in the struggle due to all the questions I raised above. So where are we hand in hand in this complex situation? In the schools and communities, we're in sessions of studying and dialogue, which you will hear more about from Efrat and Shada. People privately are making their decisions regarding participation in the different ways of struggle here in Israel. Hand in Hand has accepted on part of the working days for its employees the ability to go out and demonstrate and take part in the struggle without losing vacation days. Our most important role in this situation is continuing to do our day-to-day work and creating a model for shared society and equality in our schools and communities, and educating toward these values, fighting against this extreme. Last week, we had the Hand in Hand Adult Leadership Conference with 200 participants, in which we bring together the school and community leadership for 2 days of discussion and dialogue. This was a great opportunity to feel the strength of Hand in Hand, Hand in Hand large national community, and discuss our partnership also under these circumstances. Being together with all these great people in Hand gives much strength. Not many organizations have the ability and the privilege to actually engage in meaningful social action on a day-to-day basis. We do. And we're so thankful for your support that enables us to do so, and with your friendship and being with us also in more difficult days. Thank you.
Thank you, Dani. Shada, can we hear from you?
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Leah and Dani. Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Shada Mansour. I'm the director of the community department. I am also a parent at Hand in Hand. My daughter Nai is in 4th grade at Beth Bell Hand in Hand School. Honestly, I'm coming to this webinar with a lot of concern. We all are very concerned and worried about what is happening here in Israel these days. Just a minute, my daughter is calling me. Sorry for that. Having this extreme government that is moving all of us on the political and civil level to a much more harsh and divided reality. For me, it's taking me back. It's taking me back to the days I felt not wanted here in the Israeli society, by the people, by the system itself. And the last few years for me, especially the times I've been part of Hand in Hand, I've been going through a deep process, working on myself, on my identity, on my environment, to feel that I'm an insider and that I'm part of the society. And what is happening now and what this government is bringing on with it is very threatening for me and making me feel again not wanted and outsider. And I can share with you that in these days, most of the times that I'm in a Jewish public spaces, I don't feel secured. And all I want to do is to go back to my separated town and not to interact with the Jewish and with others. It's not only me, most of the people surrounding me, and I know, feel the same. And this is deepening again more and more the separation and creating deeper and divided society. And the election results were like a punch to us in the stomach for me as an Arab. It's a statement of what and how Israeli society wants and looks like. And as a minority, I know that the judicial system changes that is being almost done now will harm me first, maybe the most. And it's already doesn't give me justice. And this is really a bad and terrifying period. And it's not only that, I'm looking about what's happening in the West Bank and in Jerusalem. And it's even more sets the place on fire. But on the other hand, seeing my daughter Nai celebrating Purim for the last week with her Arab and Jewish friends at school in a very confident, natural way, fills me with hope. It fills me with hope that's keeping me functioning and continuing to change and impact, but also it fills me of hope about the next generation that we are creating and raising up at Hand in Hand. And for me, this is where I get my strength from during these times. Thank you.
Thank you, Shada, for that sharing. Efrat, please.
Hi, good evening. Nice to meet you all. My name is Efrat Meyer. I'm the principal of the high school. It's always wonderful to listen to Dani and Shada, and I listen to Shada with my heart and agree intellectually with everything that Dani said. I want to attack this point from a different view and say that I'm privileged to work in an optimistic place. It's education. Every education is an optimistic act. We see children grow. We work very hard on the programs and the school and the staff, and we continue doing what we're doing for the last 25 years. So, I'm very worried. We all worried, staff is worried, kids are worried, parents are worried, but we still do what we do every day, is believe in the option and the possibility for a different life for citizens of Israel and to the Palestinians next to us. I've been to the school for 15 years. I started as a teacher. I used to be a community organizer. Now I'm a parent of 2 daughters who go to the elementary school of Hand in Hand in Jerusalem. And we've been through a lot. I remember days that I had spray paint in my car. So because we had mornings that we woke up and there was graffiti of death to Arabs, not once and not twice on the walls of the school. There was an arson attack. There were wars that we had to go through together with the children and staff and parents. We've been through a lot. But we do feel that right now it's not few extremists or few people in the society that are doing it. I think now that it's the majority, or at least it feels the majority, it changes the atmosphere, the public atmosphere. So now when I have to think whether to allow my 11 and 12 graders to go outside and buy coffee and snacks, I need to think twice. I have to ask myself, is that safe for them? Usually it is, but there are days that I'm not letting them out. They're very angry. They don't like me now, but I have to take care of them. And I know that outside the schools, the walls of the school, I'm not able to protect them as much as I can inside the school. And those moments are very, very difficult. For 12 years, they're growing in a school that teaches them that we're all equal and we respect each other. And they know that the outside reality changes in ways that are very much different from our education system. And at the same time, I'm gonna finish with a sentence that I just started. We are in a very, very optimistic place. We work every day, we come every day to the school to do the same thing. And we hold a very strong belief that this is the right way to live and this is the right way to educate our children, our own children and our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Efrat. I want to dive into something you were saying, Efrat. You were talking about things that we as an organization have been through before, wars and violence and having a spray paint canister in your car. Do you feel that this moment is bringing us the same challenges, but just a little more intense or a lot more intense? Or do the 3 of you feel that there's something new and different in the challenges we're encountering today? And if there's something new and different, can you give us a sense of what that is? What is it that you see that's different? Whoever would like to go first.
Yeah, so I'll begin. I think in order to demonstrate, I think it's a different time. And there are new challenges here. And to demonstrate how that works is in 2014, there was an arson attack on the Hand in Hand school. One of the partners of the group who committed that arson attack is today the Minister of Police in Israel. His name is Itamar Ben-Gvir. So if we were dealing all the years with racist extremists that were on the shulaim, how would they say that? On the boundary?
On the periphery, on the margins.
On the margins. Today, we actually see them in the government. And we see them in top leadership positions in the government. And it creates a whole different way of looking at what's happening in Israel, because these people are today leading the government. And when we want to look up and to see who's going to help bring reconciliation to Israel, support hand in hand in what we're doing, bring equality into Israel, it's not there in our leadership. And we feel that we have to fight with this tender or stream here in Israel from within. And when the leadership is on a whole different point of view of Israeli society, or state of mind of Israeli society. But in this situation, so I think it's a different kind of challenge, but we still find many partners. We find many partners in municipalities at the professional level and also on the political level. We find many partners also still in the Knesset, people who were supporting us in the previous government when we were in this great effort to standardize Israel. And today they're supporting us from the opposition. Of course, they're not as strong, but they're there for us. So we feel this is, we're in a whole different situation in the macro of Israel and looking at Israel from like zoom out. But we still have our partners that are supporting us on many of the professional levels, and that's what's keeping us moving forward also in this situation.
I can say that we are, as all three of us said, we are in extreme times, and also we got through a lot, and going through a lot builds resilience in schools, in the communities, in the staffs. And I can share that we are in the community work. We got the opportunity this year to go back and build the communities in the internal level after years of COVID and sensitive events in the country. And we see how much the communities and families need the meeting and the conversation and the community lifestyle, and how much they missed it. So we try very hard to maintain community routine while considering everything happening surrounding us. And we do it through conversation, dialogue session between the parents and the adults. And of course, it's more sensitive and more extreme now. I mean, the election results is bringing, and the government that has been built is bringing a lot of hard conversation inside the communities. But this also strengthens the ties and creates community resilience that is very important to for the continuing the work. For example, if this week we are celebrating Purim together in community and family events, but also we have organized a dialogue session for adults talking and to talk and to share what they think and feel at these times. At Haifa community, for example, we organized a meeting for the parents before the election, talking about the importance to vote and the dilemmas this topic brings on. We organized another meeting after the election results because the parents wanted and had the need. And the third meeting was 2 weeks ago, talking about the demonstration that is happening, our role and which role we want to take into it. And the reality always comes inside our work, into the communities, into the schools and the classrooms. I believe that it's very important to try to balance between our inner needs and the need to impact, and the understanding of important to impact that we want to create also in the externally level. And this is something that we are always working on, and especially now considering the situation that we are in.
Thank you, Shada. Efrat, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I'll add quickly that inside the school, we feel that there is an attack on the liberal Jewish side. I mean, the Jewish liberal side. And that's something that we need to organize differently within the talks in staff room or within the classes, and also be very worried that the issue of Arab Jewish life is not something that is being forgotten, because everybody's really busy now with about democracy and only democracy. And our school is also critical about the democracy that is in Israel right now, or was a few weeks ago. It's critical about that, but also wants to maintain the topic of the Arab-Jewish conflict and see that and not forget that. So this is something new for us, and it also only brings us opportunity to learn more and study more and practice our students to be very flexible with reality.
Thank you, Efrat. So it sounds, Shada, like the communities are continuing to do what they've done before and work to strengthen the relationships inside while being responsive to the outside. I wonder, Efrat and Dani and Shada as well, if you could say something about, on a more general level, is hand in hand operating the same as we have until now, or given that there's a new government with a very, very radical agenda that we haven't seen before, is something changing in how we work at hand in hand? Are the schools working differently? Is the organization working differently? And beyond what you shared, Shada, is there something different in the communities that's needed now?
I'll start with that. I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength to say that we need to do exactly what we did until now. We don't change anything. We don't change the books. We don't change the curriculum. We don't change teachers unless we need to. We do everything exactly the same. We know exactly how to do things. I mean, we learn all the time, but every time there is violence outside the school, we know how to talk to the kids. What days we do need to talk to them and what days we don't talk to them about big issues. How big is the issue or the violence that occurred? But I think what's really important is to notice that self-censoring and fear from the future is the biggest thing that can change ourselves from the inside. And this is something, we had a conversation a week ago. I got all the teachers together in the staff room and I said, none of you, I mean, I invite all of you to say whatever you want, I back you up, and hand in hand backs you up. It's of course, there are things that needed to, I mean, we need to say it in a nice way, in a good way, in a way that allows other kids to express different opinions, but we can express our ideas. But mostly we don't rethink about our curriculum and try to change things because of the possibility that maybe someone will not be happy about it. This is self-censoring, and that works beautifully. I mean, I see all around with my principal around me that are already asking themselves, what can I say? Maybe I shouldn't do this program this year because maybe it's not lined up with the government. And for us, this is a great moment to say what we're doing is so important and so good and so thoughtful that the worst thing for us is if we're going to change it just because we think that it might not be good. So we are very, very strong and we take good care of each other to continue what we're doing without self-censoring.
Yeah. I'll add on that, and I agree with everything that Efrat said, because when this government came in power and there were even some changes in the Ministry of Education on the political level, which with people that said out straightforward that some of the liberal ideas or many of the liberal ideas and values we believe in, they think should be changed within the Ministry of Education. And we had, I must say, we did have a short debate. What should we do in this situation? Because we said we have to talk about the risks. And we came out with a very straightforward message that we continue to do what we're doing. We can't back off. We can't lower the tone. We have to continue doing what we're doing in our schools because we're creating that model of shared society and equality that has to be there as a beacon all the time, also when the times are more difficult. And at the same time, in order to do that, we're trying to create, like, as I said before, networking and partnerships for people to support us if we do encounter problems on a political level or any other level, to say, you know, we are a system, we're a network of schools and communities. We're part of the Israeli public system. We have our values and we'll continue promoting them as we go on, and today even more important than ever. So that's the way we are working.
I can add also in the community work level, as I said before, the community programs and activities are going the same, and we are maintaining the work and the inner relationships. But also, as I said, reality all the time comes inside and affects our work, our bubbles, our communities, our schools, and I believe that the demonstrations that are happening now will also affect. I have, after this webinar, I have a Zoom meeting with a group of parents at Bet Ber community that wants to take part of the rally, protest that is happening, different protests that is happening tomorrow in different places. And we want to talk about which place we want to take in this protest. Are we going to stand with them, or next to them, or far from them, and which messages we want to bring on? So even if we decide not to go tomorrow, but still this conversation is happening, and it's helping us also to deepen our partnership and to deepen our understanding of the differences between us. And this is a great opportunity. This is a new opportunity to deepen the partnership between us.
Thank you, Shada. So I definitely hear a lot of resilience and solidarity. And I'm curious if you could tease out for us, what are some of the secrets, the practices that enable this kind of resilience and solidarity? Efrat, how do you bring that to the teacher's room? How do the teachers bring it to their classrooms? Shada, how do you spread it among the communities? And Dani, on the organization level, you know, a new government came in, people were shocked. It's been a scary time. How does solidarity and resilience continue to get built day in and day out at Hand in Hand?
Social change is a key topic in our classes, in all classes, in science class, in history class, in civics, in literature, sometimes even in math, which is a little bit hard. But when a kid grows in an environment that talks about social change and he develops his self-agency to create those changes, this is the way he thinks about the world. And when things get difficult, this is exactly when you can practice those skills to think about reality, ask yourself, what can I do about it? What's happening? Do I agree with it or disagree with it? First ask good questions, then find good answers, or look for different answers. So this is for the students. And I think that the teachers of Hand in Hand really believe in what we do. We believe in the righteousness of our way. Emunah b'tzidkat haderech. And when you have this belief, it's very hard not to be resilient. It's a very strong moment. And mostly I have to say that for 40 hours a week, sometimes more, we have fantastic students, Jews and Arabs, Christian, Muslims, Jews, everyone. We love them, we take good care of them. And just seeing them growing next to us as kids in this place, it's filling us with a lot of satisfaction and pride, and that's a lot. That's a lot. That's definitely a lot to continue doing what we're doing.
Thank you, Efrat.
I'll say on an organizational level, also as an organization, when I talk about the headquarters, we put a lot of effort also to create dialogue within the staff and to discuss these issues. And we take that time. We understand it's crucial for staff to work together also in these tougher times. And what we feel is that in these conversations and also in the day-to-day work, the same as Efrat said, we come to work. I always say we're privileged because when we come to work, we're in this different environment and we get a lot of strength from the people we work with. And we see the world can be different. We have this model that the world can be different than what's happening today outside of hand in hand. And just to maybe to strengthen that feeling, I have quite a few conversations with professionals in the Ministry of Education and in the municipalities that are telling us today, we're so happy we have you hand in hand. And we're going to do everything to support you because we need this also for our, and they talk at a personal level. They're not talking now as professionals in the Ministry of Education. They're saying we need you and we need to see the success of hand in hand because that gives us optimism and what's happening today in Israel. And I think that reflects the place hand in hand is in and what we feel when we come to work also.
Thank you, Dani. So it sounds like there's support even within the Ministry of Education, if only at the individual level at the moment. Is there an opportunity for us to grow at this time? We have a question from Jeffrey. Is hand in hand growing? Are there obstacles to our growth in this environment? And what can you say about that?
So firstly, hand in hand is growing. I'd say firstly, we still have schools that are in growth mode, and every year they're adding another classroom. Nai's daughter, Shada's daughter, Nai, studies in the Bet Barrel school, which is in growth mode and is moving up to 6th grade. We have our Haifa school that moved up to 7th grade. And we're adding also additional classes. I think also coming out of COVID is helping us regrow and like the Chadesh, to renew. A lot, yeah, and brings a lot of renewal into hand in hand. And but you know, we're part of the public system, so we need the approval of the Ministry of Education to open new schools and to open new preschools. And when we spoke, and I'm sure many of you were on previous webinars last year when we had the previous government, and we're trying to standardize hand in hand within the public system, because today it's all streams. There's a Jewish stream and the Arab stream, and we were in efforts to make a shared stream. That of course stopped after the government fell. So that's one of the main obstacles. How do we get through the Ministry of Education? But it's not stopping us from planning new locations for hand in hand, and we'll talk about that also a bit later in the conversation.
Great, thank you. So we have another question. What can we say that our high school graduates are doing at this time? Do we see them having an impact in their communities, in the university level, in their careers? What do we know about our alumni now? Efrat?
So last week we met a few of them. We're always happy to see our alumni. We have one alumni, Firas, who just got a great part in a new TV show, a series called Madraseh, that is It's about the Arab Jewish high school, and it's on public TV in Israel, which made a big impact and made our students very proud, and all of us are very happy about it. And he got a leading part in that, our student. We don't know exactly what everyone is doing, but I think the one that we know, which is about, let's say 40 or 50 of them, they all went to the university, they all work. And I know that wherever they go, they influence the people around them and their surroundings by the ideas that a shared life between Jews and Arabs is a possibility. During the summer, me and my vice principal, can I say that? Vice principal? We always make fun of how many weddings did you go over the summer? Weddings of alumni, and it's so beautiful to see that it's an Arab Jewish wedding. I mean, a chuppah is a chuppah, but you have tables of Jews and Arabs sitting together and dancing, and this is something very rare in Israel. And it's very nice to see that they're still friends with each other. The families are still friends with each other. And the experience of living the life that we offer in hand influences them as they go on to the universities and to their work life afterwards. There are two communities of alumni that are actually studying together in the Hebrew University and are practicing social change and activism. And this is a part of hand-in-hand alumni program. So we have about 30 alumni who are participating in this program. So we know that they're not only talking about it, but actually taking action and an activist in Jerusalem in those topics of Arab and Jewish life. Is that okay? Did I answer it?
Yeah, definitely. So if that tells us a little bit about our alumni and what they're doing, I think there's a lot of interest about our younger students. What are they hearing at home? We have a sense, I think, of what they're hearing in school and listening to one another. What do they hear at home? Because they come from very different homes and the parents are part of the communities, but they're not in school. Can you say something about that, Efrat?
Sure. So I have to say that home is not the problem. The problem is the TikTok. Kids don't listen to their parents anymore so much. I mean, they have values that come from home and then sit on dinners and they listen. But the biggest influence is the social media. The TikTok is the worst. So whenever there is any violent event outside in Palestine or in Israel, we have two different kinds of media. The Jews listen to TikTok and TV, and no, they don't do Facebook, Instagram, of one side of the story. And the Palestinian side listens to a different TikTok. And then they come to school, and when they talk about it, they understand that they have totally different points of view on the same thing. That's where our job is so important, to teach them how to talk about it, how to listen to the other side, how to create a conversation and not an argument. And I think this is a very growing moment for all of us. You know, a journalist was killed, I think it was over the summer in July or in June, Shirin Abu Akla. And that was a big moment in the school. We stopped school, we stopped studying, we got all the students together. But even in the staff room, when we talked about it, it was quite amazing to understand that a person that is so important and so meaningful to the Palestinian side, she was not even known. I never heard this name before. She was not even known to any Israeli ear. So we live as a community, we live one next to each other, we speak two languages, but there are big differences between us, differences of knowledge, differences of culture. And our job is very important in here to get a lot of information, to expose the children to a lot of information, and also to sometimes ask them what happened when there is a message, a contradicting message between home and school. And it doesn't have to be about the Palestinian issue. It can be about gay rights. It can be about civic rights. It can be about how you dress, what you're supposed to do after school. There are a lot of issues that the messages are different from what they see with their friends or what they hear from their friends and what they hear at home. And this is exactly what we're doing. We're teaching them how to cope with those gaps. And then not create a split between home and school and social media, but to bring it all together.
Yeah, I'd like to add, please, Shada, please.
Okay, thank you. I can add as a parent, this situation and this reality that we live in, it's bringing a lot of questions on my daughter's mind. And she's very interested, and she asks, she see the differences, she understands and is exposed to the complexity. And last week we went by a protest next to the school with a lot of Israeli flags, and she asked why they don't have Palestinian flags, why there are no Arabs there, and how come they are having flags but calling against Bibi. She had a lot of questions about or against or for democracy, rights, and values, and I think that being a student and hand in hand is giving the students and the kids a lot of awareness or political awareness that is helping them from a young age to understand the differences and to know how to deal with it. Immediately now, and I can say other kids, I imagine, that start to think how they suggest for us as adults to act in this situation, how to organize the protest in their eyes, and it's very important, and it's a huge ability to get from a young age.
So maybe I'll just add shortly that we get a lot of pride from these kids, and I hear what Shada hears from her daughter, and we hear it from many parents. And I think one of our missions is, and that's when we talk about the community work, and going back to your question, Leah, about what do they hear at home, parents here in Israel, like I did, grew up in separated systems. And a lot of our community work is investing and bringing parents together, creating that dialogue, creating these kind of conversations between parents, so the messages the kids will get in school and at home will be similar messages and not different messages. And that's a lot of the community work we do in the different communities. It's not always easy, it's complex. It brings also, it can raise questions that parents didn't think about before. And for the kids are very natural already in school. That's the way they're growing up. And for the parents, it's like new questions, new dilemmas, and they have to deal with them. So that's why we see our educational mission is with kids, but also in many ways also with adults.
Thank you, Dani. So we have a question from our friend Deborah Bresme. Do we think that we might see reduced financial support from some of our American funders or our overseas Jewish funders, given what's going on with our government now?
So it's interesting because I gotta say, I'm really thankful to many of the people who are here with us on the webinar. Many of our supporters are coming to, and continuing to support, and some even increase their support, and in many ways also just calling to ask how are we doing and if we're doing well. On the other hand, we are seeing and we are hearing about funders who are saying in different ways they're losing interest in what's happening in Israel. And we are, it's not easy on us even to hear that before we talk about the funding, even to hear that people who are very much connected to Israel are suddenly saying we're losing interest or hope. And our message is, this is the time we need you more than ever. And we are the organization that's continuing to educate young kids to create a different future for Israel and to bring the future that I believe everybody on this webinar is hoping for Israel. So we got to tell you, we're not giving up and we're pushing forward, and we'd really appreciate any help we can get. And we really ask people not to give up on Israel and not to give up on society here, because we can make that change. And we see today also the struggle, Israeli society. I mean, you see a wake up in Israeli society, which has to have its different layers, as I said before. But there is all in Israel society, and we're seeing resistance to what's happening here in Israel.
Thank you, Dani. Would you say something also about the different pathways for growth that Hand in Hand is considering now? You know, there's always the prospect of opening new schools and growing our existing schools. Are there other avenues for our growth?
Yeah. So today we have over 2,000 students in our schools, and we have over 10,000 community members in the different communities and families all together. Our core mission is to add more and more schools, Jewish Arab schools. Now, I'd say if today we have schools in 6 locations, we'd like to double it. So we'll have schools in every mixed city or mixed region in Israel. But also, as being part of the public system, the educational public system here in Israel, we're impacting and growing in different ways. One of the pathways we're taking is there are preschools in Israel and schools that are part of the Jewish stream in Israel, but have many Arab students within them. Because they're part of the Jewish system and they're not hand-in-hand schools, the Arab students feel as guests in those schools because it's a whole Jewish curriculum, it's the Jewish holidays, it's all done in Hebrew, it's all taught in Hebrew, the whole staff is Jewish. So we are supporting preschools today, 16 preschools in Jaffa, in the mixed cities of Jaffa and Nofa Garir, and guiding the preschool teachers, the Jewish preschool teachers, and how to bring in a more multicultural curriculum into the preschools so the Arab students will have a stronger feeling of belonging into the preschool and the class, and also so the Jewish kids will feel more comfortable when they're, there are 2 languages in the preschool, and they're not used to that situation because we're all in separate systems. So how do we create a more open environment within these preschools and bring a multicultural curriculum into them, and also bring the parents into this process? So we have 16 preschools with about 450 kids in this program. And we're also growing in the next age level, which is students, the student community. Efrat said a few words about that. We have a student community today by the Jerusalem University with 18 students, Jewish and Arab. Part of them are alumni of Hand in Hand. And we're planning to add additional student communities in the other universities in Israel. Hopeful next year we'll open the next one in Haifa. That's our plan. And it's great to have these communities as the communities themselves, but also as they are partnering with our schools in volunteer work and in different programs within the hand-in-hand schools. So the kids have like the students to see as a model to see themselves in the future. And the last thing I'll say is that we're developing more and more curriculum that we're going to make an effort to bring it into the regular educational system within Israel, into the mainstream educational system, again, to bring additional multicultural curriculum into the schools, and also Arabic studies into regular Jewish schools. But again, this is a process we've just begun, and it is in its initial steps.
Thank you, Dani. We have a nice question from Bob. Are most of our students optimistic about the future of Jewish-Arab relations? And we can expand that to our community members, Shada. Are most of our community members optimistic about the future of Jewish-Arab relations?
Interesting question. I can't, אני לא יכולה להכליל.
I can't make a generalization.
It's sensitive and it's very, it's sensitive time and we have different voices inside the communities. Sometimes our conversations and meetings starts with a lot of anger, worried, scared parents and community members, but through the process, through the meeting, and when we مذكرين إحد لشني, when we remind each other of the existence of our community, of our power together, and the important work and change that we are creating, it fills us with hope and make us more optimist. And besides being optimist in these times, I think what is more important that is happening, it's a lot of courage that the community's members are taking and parents are taking and staff and teachers are doing, being part of hand in hand, being part of partnership, Arab-Jewish partnership. In these times, in the large society seems to be, we are extreme, we are crazy people. But actually we are very courage people that insist on doing this decision every morning and bringing our kids to the schools and as teachers to come every morning to our schools. So besides the optimism, there is a lot of courage.
Beautiful. Thank you. It was very, very genuine. Thank you, Shada. Efrat, is there something you can add about that?
Yeah, it's a very tricky question. They're teenagers. Optimism is not, I don't know if I can say they're optimistic. And I'm not sure all of us are very optimistic about the Arab-Jewish future. There's a huge conflict in here that is getting worse and worse. But we're on the side that is doing efforts to fix it. And I think that our students feel the same, that they're on the side, the right side of history of trying to fix it. But when I thought about this question, I think they're very optimistic about their future because they have skills to go out to the world, bilingual, understand reality, met other people that are different from them, able to feel empathy, to have a dialogue. They're great in math and in physics, exactly what they need, and literature, both Palestinian and Jewish literature. And I think that gives them a lot of optimism to see their future safe and successful. When you think on the large scale, I can smile for hours. I'm not optimistic so much. But I'm very, very optimistic on the day-to-day life that I have. So this is my answer.
And I think that's a really great framing. We don't control the future of this country. We don't control the future of the conflict, but we do control where we put our energy every day, where we put our resources and what we focus on. Dani, would you say something about how we are looking forward? What are we looking towards in the future as an organization from where we are at this moment?
Thank you. So after the optimism, the kind of optimism Efrat gave us, we're looking at what these days, how can we be optimistic? We can control what we're doing. We believe this also impacts society, but firstly, we can control what we're doing. And also when, we talked about all the difficulties and the challenges we're going through now, but we're not giving in to them. To the contrary, we're looking at how can we continue growing. And we're today creating all those plans. And the plans are developing new programs. Part of them I described before. And we'll continue to grow those programs. We're mapping new locations for the schools which we believe we can found in the next few years. We're mapping the locations. We're finding the best places where to start the new schools. We're now growing the Haifa school into a middle school and then into a high school. And we're seeing very nice demand to continue from the elementary. We're strengthening our relationships. We're seeing this as also as an opportunity. We're going to the opposition Knesset members who are now very busy, but probably soon will be less busy because they're in the opposition, and creating a stronger network with Knesset members. So when these people come back into power, and they will, we'll have that opportunity to go back to where we've stopped and standardizing hand in hand as another stream within Israeli public system. So we're pushing forward. We're dealing with the challenges, and at the same time, we're pushing forward, and we'll continue to push forward because we believe we'll make it, we'll win, we'll prevail. And then a new government will come in and we'll have new opportunities. And we always have to be ready for that moment, for the moment of opportunities. So this is what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. We're continuing to push forward. And again, we're very, very thankful to all of you and all our supporters that are also not here today with us, which are enabling us to do that. Enabling us in your partnership and the way you come and join us on these webinars and the great comments I see all the time coming in on the chat. And thank you very much for all the very warm words you're putting here, for the funding, which supports the activities we have here in Israel, and the visits. And we really welcome you all to come and visit our schools, continue supporting us. And when you have a chance to come to Israel and to see the fruits of your support also in our schools, because that's the best you can get when you come here to Israel. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dani, Efrat, and Shada. Thank you, friends, for being with us, sharing in this moment of conversation, wishing us all courage, resilience, and solidarity as we move together to a better future. Leitrot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
شكرا.